James Turner for the untouchable true school sports. Let's go, baby. Bow!
Be careful what you wish for because it can become a reality.
Yeah.
The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing games are missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. All right, guys, so I wanted to talk about this because, I'm a big fan of Richardson Hitchins. I really do think highly of him. I think he's a fantastic fighter. I think he's got one of the best jabs in boxing, and if I could be more specific, I think he got one of the top 5 best jabs in boxing, truth be told. And he's been linked to a couple fighters. I saw recently that in a recent interview with Mill City Boxing, shout out to Mill City Boxing, he's doing great work and running a great program over there. But I saw in a recent interview with Mill City Boxing, he was talking to Brian Norman Sr. Again, shout out to Brian Norman Sr. He's a friend of the program. He was talking to Brian Norman Sr. and Brian Norman Sr. said pretty much, look, because I guess Richardson Hitchins been doing some talking. And he said, look, after we knock out Devin Haney, why don't you come up and you can get knocked out too? That's pretty much what he said, right? And to that, Richardson Hitchins simply said, easy work. He responded to it on Twitter. He said, easy work. And I'll leave the tweets for you guys in the description so you can read it for yourself. But, that's a potential matchup. We all know Hitchens is a big 140-pounder. He struggles to make the weight because he has the the IBF title, so we know that 10-pound rehydration clause is difficult on him, right? So he don't got much time left there, and he's gonna be a welterweight sooner rather than later. So this is a potential matchup and a big matchup that could happen in the next 12 to 18 months when he comes up to 47. We'll get back to that in a second. Another fight that Hitchens has been linked to, which is also a big high-profile fight, is a fight against Floyd Schofield Jr. because Floyd Schofield Sr. also is on Mill City Boxing, and he stated that pretty much after the Jojo Diaz fight, because Floyd Schofield is fighting Jojo Diaz, if he gets past that fight, which he should, if he gets past that fight, they're targeting Hitchens for next year as well. And to that, Hitchens said simply, and I quote, he being Floyd Schofield, he better stay far away from me. So you got Hitchens potentially, fighting either Brian Norman Jr. or Floyd Schofield. So I want to give my little 2 cents on those, my preliminary thoughts, because you guys know True School Sports is always ahead of the curve, when it comes to these kind of videos. You understand? So I'll start with Hitchens versus Brian Norman Jr. Now, a lot of people would say that Hitchens is similar or fights the same as Devin Haney. Now, for me, I don't believe that. I actually think Hitchens is a better fighter than Devin Haney. I think Hitchens has mastered the jab at a higher level than Devin Haney. I think Richardson Hitchens is less defensively leaky when he throws his jab than Devin Haney. I like his frame at 140 and at 147, and I think he's getting better and better every single fight. And one thing I like about Hitchens, which is why I think he's better than Devin Haney, also apart from the jab, is that he doesn't fight outside of himself. He knows what his strengths are, and he fights to those strengths as much as humanly possible. As for with Devin Haney, there's plenty of fights I can point to where he doesn't do that. You understand? So one guy knows who he is more than the other in the ring, in my opinion. So because of that, I think if everyone's talking about Devin Haney having this ability to outbox Brian Norman Jr., and he might. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is the fight Devin Haney needs to show people like myself how great he is. Sometimes that does happen in boxing, but I don't think Devin Haney's going to beat Brian Norman Jr., right? So I'm saying this to say this. I think Hitchens would have a better chance to beat Brian Norman Jr. than Devin Haney does. I think Hitchens, like I said, he knows how to keep fighters at the end of that jab. And in like the Liam Paro fight, Paro was a guy. And, obviously, Paro and Norman are different fighters, but I'm saying his jab isn't even what won him that fight. What won him that fight was the straight right hand. You understand? So I think I'm actually really intrigued about that fight because I actually think what people think Haney and Norman is, I actually think Hitchens and Norman would actually be an actual top, guy who really mastered the jab, fighting a guy like Norman who also has very good boxing skills himself and does have a one-punch knockout power and is an elite athlete. I feel like what people think the Norman and Haney matchup is, that's what Norman and Hitchens would be. But that's my opinion. Maybe I'm in the minority. Who gives a damn? As far as Hitchens versus Floyd Schofield, I like that fight a lot too, because I feel like there's some, Floyd Schofield is a very explosive fighter, an elite athlete. Doesn't quite have the dimensions or he's explosive, but not to the degree of a Brian Norman Jr. Because Brian Norman Jr. is at 147 and he's knocking guys out 147, and Brian Norman Jr. is fighting close to his walk around weight, closer than most fighters do, which makes him more of a badass. So that being said, I feel like in that particular fight, I mean, we've seen Hitchens struggle in the past with a guy like Lemos. I think he's learned from that fight. I think he's matured, and he's going to continue to mature, because one thing about Hitchens that I know for a fact, because we have a mutual friend, Pistol Pete Dobson. One thing I know about him, talking to Pete and hearing how Pete talks about him and just watching him from afar for myself, I feel like he's a guy that really puts everything into his craft. Like, he really takes this boxing shit extremely serious. And that's why when he gets into the ring, he knows his strengths and he fights to them so well. You understand? So I think he's gonna. I think if Hitchens fights Schofield, I think he'll beat Floyd Schofield. I think he'll beat him like 116, 112, something like that. Maybe he gets hurt, maybe he gets stunned, but I think he's a smart enough fighter to outbox a guy like Floyd Schofield. And I'll say that about that fight. But listen, those are all great fights. Those are all great fights. Anyone can win, anyone can lose. But I like Hitchens. I think Hitchens, he has that kind of confidence in himself that bothers people, because he says stuff that's dumb as hell to the rest of the world, but he believes it. So that's all that counts. He's got a deeper conviction in himself and his abilities than most fighters do that just talk and woof on the net. So I feel like he's gonna find himself one of these fights, and I'm giving him a good chance to beat either Floyd Schofield or Brian Norman Jr. Those are great fights, but we shall see. We shall see how it goes. Just wanted to get my thoughts on that. I'm a fan of all three of those fighters I named, and I look forward to hopefully them all matching up in 2026 and beyond. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What do you guys think about Hitchens potentially fighting a guy like Schofield or Brian Norman Jr. when he moves to 147? Leave your comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys. Thank you for watching another video on the untouchable True School Sports Empire. For more great boxing content just like this, make sure you guys stay tuned and subscribe. You won't be disappointed.